guys, hi. So today is Tuesday, and that is our last day. Tomorrow is technically your last day of school, but I am not going to do another video like this for Wednesday because it would only be a half a day, so we would be doing things like cleaning out your desks and you know finishing Harry Potter and those kind of things. So I am going to do this last video today, and then here's a couple of things that I want you to know. I would love for you to continue to use this Weebly page through the summer if that is something that you are interested in. I won't necessarily be posting videos, but I will be, maybe every once in a while, I'll throw a blog up there, or which, by the way, I am going to put another blog post on, and so I would love to hear from you one last time at least. But you can always come on here. Reflex Math will always be here. IXL will always be here. It's an easy way to get to those things. And those of you who got iPads from the district, you are going to keep those iPads through and just bring them back in the fall. So you will have access to that all summer. I think Brain Pop and those kind of things, I have a subscription for that for the rest of the summer. So things that you can do. I know this summer's going to look a little different than a lot of our summers in the past, and we won't be able to do a lot of the activities that we have been able to. So I'm not asking that you go on there every day, and I'm not asking that you do school all summer long, because Lord knows I'm not going to. But it is a good place, especially as we start getting into the fall and you're thinking, oh, I'm bored. Well, maybe you want to get on Prodigy for a little bit, or maybe you want to go ahead and do some reflex games, or get on some IXL. So just want to throw that out there. The Weebly page will be forever. The other thing I need you to know about the Weebly page is the Weebly page is public. And what that means is that anybody on the internet can access that Weebly page. So please make sure that you do not put any pictures on there, that you do not, putting in information about yourself on there. You can always send me things via Seesaw or even through email. So if you want to do an experiment that you would like to show me, I would love to see that. Or you want to take a picture, you do an experiment and you thought it was really neat, take a picture. I know Ogden has sent me a couple of things and they're super cool. I love to see those. So don't be afraid to do that, but also don't do it on the Weebly page, because then everybody can see it, which is fine if that's what you want, but you just need to be aware of that. All right, so today we are going to do one last kind of cool experiment together, and I thought all weekend about what I could do with you guys that would be fun. Something that you can do at home if you wanted to, fairly easily and pretty inexpensively. If you ever want to just Google fun, easy science experiments, there are a million things out there that are things that a lot of these things you can find around your house, or are fairly inexpensive and really easy to do. So remember that we talked about doing when I did the fireworks in a jar, we talked about how that was a demonstration, right? And then ways that you could turn it into an experiment by changing something to see if it would make a difference. So today, and we talked about that demonstration was all about viscosity or density. So what I'm going to do for you today is kind of in the same realm as that. So when we think about density, we talked a little bit about density when we talked about our holidays around the world, and we were talking about population and how in some places in the world the population is more dense, which means there are more people packed into a smaller area. The more people, the more dense it is. Okay, the less people and they're spread out, the less dense it is. So I also like to think about a forest. If you go into a real forest, the trees are literally like right next to each other, and you have to weave in and out to get through. Okay, if you can picture that or you've seen it on TV. But like, so that would be really dense. The trees are very dense. But like here in Kansas, the trees are more spread out. It's less dense. Okay, the same thing holds true for liquids. And the things that in the liquids that make them more dense are things like molecules and atoms. And molecules and atoms, everything is made out of molecules and atoms. The air you breathe, this plastic tote, my shirt, my whole body, everything in our planet and in space is all made of atoms and molecules. And sometimes those atoms and molecules are packed real close together and they're more dense than other things that are also made and where the atoms or molecules are spread out a little bit more. So that's why when we did our demonstration on Monday, that's why that oil was sitting here at the top, because it is less dense than the water. The molecules are spread out farther. They're not as dense. They're not as squished together. And so it is lighter than the water. Okay? So we're going to expand on that a little bit. And the demonstration I'm going to show you today is called a rainbow in a jar. Okay, so when we do experiments or demonstrations, we need to follow a certain pattern because we want other people to be able to replicate or recreate the demonstration that we are doing. And in order to do that, we need to set a purpose. So we're going to be doing a demonstration about the density of different liquids. Okay, and we're going to do that by a demonstration called a rainbow in a jar. So that's our purpose. Okay, if I were doing a true experiment, I would then come up with a hypothesis. So a hypothesis is an educated guess based on what I already know about the things I'm doing in my experiment. So we'll talk a little bit more about hypothesis maybe afterwards. I'll have to write myself a note to do that. Hypothesis. So like if you, yesterday when you watched me do the fireworks in a jar, if you decided to take that into the experiment and you decided to use, instead of vegetable oil, you decided to use avocado oil, your hypothesis would be, I think avocado oil will change my experiment by what? What do you think will happen? Or I don't think using avocado oil will change this, the outcome of this experiment at all. Okay, you could go either way. And then when you actually do the thing, then you would be able to say whether or not your hypothesis was true or not. Okay? But in a demonstration, we don't really have a hypothesis because we're not experimenting with anything. We are just doing certain steps. So I need to tell you, so we did a purpose. We're not going to do a hypothesis. Now I need to tell you the materials that you need in order to do this exactly the way that I am doing it. So the materials that you need are some kind of clear, larger jar. This is the same jar I used for our fireworks one. It's clear, it's pretty big, and it's, but it's not too wide. It's kind of tall and skinny, okay? Because if it's too tall and wide, my layers are going to be real skinny and it'll be harder to see. So, tall glass jar. I need, I've got several cups that are like this, and I'm using see-through cups because that way you guys can see it better, but you could just use regular old cups. They can be washed out. Nothing that I'm doing is going to damage them, so they could be washed out. So, excuse me, you will need food coloring. Specific colors that you will need are red, blue, and green. You will need some spoons. I'm going to use plastic spoons because that's what I have here at school, but you could use a regular spoon and just wash it in between. You will need honey. Now, I would recommend if you've got the cheapy honey from the store, that'd be great. I had on hand this honey. It's all I had. I didn't want to go out and buy more because I didn't want to go to the grocery store this morning. So I'm going to use this honey. It doesn't really matter what kind of honey you do, I don't think. Maybe it does. Okay, so that's our first liquid, honey. Our second liquid is blue dishwashing liquid. Okay, so dishwashing liquid. Then we're going to need water. Okay, so I've already poured out some water. I've labeled this, and you'll see why here in just a second. So we need some water. We need oil. And I will be honest and tell you that in the video that I watched about this, the guy used olive oil, but olive oil is kind of expensive, and I really didn't want to go out and buy another thing, and I already had this, so I think it will work. So we'll see. So oil, and notice that this oil is yellow, and that's why I am not using the yellow food coloring, because if I put more food coloring in this, is that food coloring going to mix with this oil? No, right? So this oil is as yellow as I can get it. You might try maybe a gel, but I don't think that would mix together either. Something you could look at. And then the last thing that I need is, and this says RA on it, and that's because this is rubbing alcohol. But you can see now why I labeled my cups, because this rubbing alcohol looks just like this water. Now I'm going to be honest. Oh, that rubbing alcohol does not smell the same as this water. So it would probably be pretty easy for me to figure out which one is which, but I wanted to make sure I was clear. So this is my rubbing alcohol and this is my water. And that is all you need. So those are my materials. I also have on hand some Lysol wipes, some extra water, and some paper towels. I also put, just so you know, I put this up on this so that you could see it better and I didn't have to do this thing and you could actually see my face while I'm doing this. So, all right, that's all of our materials. Now I need to tell you the step-by-step procedure of how to do this. And if I were posting this like a lot of the websites that I went to, they maybe made a video, and a lot of them just wrote down step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and that's called our procedure. And those steps have to be pretty clear and easy to understand and in the right order, and we can't skip anything, because if I skip something or I put them out of order, is your rainbow in a jar going to come out just like mine? No. And that is the whole point of these demonstrations and these experiments, is that you should be able to recreate it exactly the way that I am doing it. All right, so we're going to start with our most dense liquid, and that was the honey. So I'm going to take my honey, I'm going to move this for a second. I'll take my honey, and I'm going to put red and blue, because red and blue make purple. So I'm just going to use 2 drops of red, and I want to keep my dots the same. So if I put 2 dots, if I put 2 drops of one, I got to put 2 drops of the other, and then I'm going to mix that up, and that is thick, 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 thick. That honey is thick. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit more in. I don't know, if you do this at home, it might be a lot better to do it with that light honey rather than this dark honey, because it might make a better purple color. But you know, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, because this has that yellow from that honey, so it is making it a little bit, well, I guess it might be a violet color. So all right, so now that I have this mixed up, I'm going to pour it in my jar. And if you want to make your layers thicker, then of course you're just going to use more of that liquid, right? But again, since I didn't have any of the kind of cheap light honey, I went ahead and used this. All right, so there's my purple layer. My blue layer is going to be, what is this called? This is called dishwashing soap. And the nice thing about it is it's already blue. And what will happen is this will, because this should be less dense than our honey, it should sit right here on the top. And I need to do it fairly carefully because I want to just make sure that it will sit at the top and it doesn't oh yeah. It'll settle a little bit, but can you see how that is sitting on top? Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so there's my blue layer, and you can see as it settles even more, that honey layer is really below that blue dishwashing soap. So the honey is more dense than the dishwashing soap. All right, my next layer is going to be green, and that layer is going to be plain old water. So how am I going to make this water green? I'm going to put some food coloring in it. And the food coloring isn't changing anything because food coloring is water. It's just making it so that I can really see that layer. And I want to be real careful when I am putting this in. I want to make sure that if I just go and dump it in, it's going to take a lot longer for you to see those levels. So I'm going to kind of put my spoon so it's kind of up against here, and I'm going to use it to kind of help my water drip slowly down the side and not just glop right into that dishwashing soap. And hopefully, let's see, can you see that? Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, might even consider doing that color a little lighter so that it really shows up. Mine's kind of dark, but we'll go look by the mirror when this is done and see if that helps the colors sort of shine through. But you can still see that that water is sitting on top of that dishwashing soap. So that green is sitting on top of that blue. All right. Our next one is oil. And as we know from our thing yesterday, is oil is less dense than water. So that oil should sit very nicely on top of the oil. And again, I'm going to use a spoon to kind of guide my oil so that it drips down the side and doesn't just sploosh right into that water, and you can really see the separation. Oh my gosh. I do think, so here's my opinion, is I think that if you use olive oil, it will be even more yellow, and that will show even better. But you can still see that definite separation. Okay, the last thing is going to be rubbing alcohol. So if you were to be a guesser, what do you think is going to happen with this rubbing alcohol? Is it going to sink to the bottom, or is it going to stay at the top? Okay, so I'm going to dye it red so that I can really see the difference between that color and I'm going to use my spoon again so that I can direct that rubbing alcohol to the side, and so it doesn't just get slammed right into. Oh my gosh. How cool is that? All right. So here is my rainbow in a jar. So you can see what is the most dense liquid of the ones that we did. What's this one at the bottom? It's honey. Okay, so that is the most dense liquid of the ones that we chose. And then slightly less dense is that dishwashing soap. And then this, believe it or not, that is water in between there, that green level, which is kind of crazy. And then we've got our oil level, and then we've got our rubbing alcohol level. And because those are all different densities, then they stay separated from each other. Pretty cool. I'm wondering if I move out of the way, if you can even see. Look at that. That is so cool. So if this is something that you think is super cool, try it at home. If you've got the things. Some things that you can think about that you can do to create an experiment out of this is if you want to try different liquids. So a hypothesis that you could make is milk. I think milk is the same density as water. And so it will, the green, if I dye milk green, it will act exactly the same as the water in this experiment. And then test it to see if it's true. Or maybe you think that soda is less dense than rubbing alcohol. And you want to see, maybe because of the bubbles you think that maybe that will be less dense and it will sit on top of the rubbing alcohol, and then test it and see if that is true. Maybe you want to try different sodas or different types of oil or different types of dish detergent. There's all kinds of things that you could try to see if you can test a hypothesis, to see if you can find something maybe a little different. I would love to see pictures of those. If you decide to make this, I would love to see a picture of you with it, or just do it. You don't have to show me a picture, but it would be fun. All right, my friends, this is it. And I will be sending you a little something in the mail. Usually comes with your report cards, but since we had to send those through the mail, I'm going to send my little special thing separately. So look in your mailboxes for something coming from me. Nothing big, just something little. But know that I love you all. And, the cool thing about all this is you guys we'll all kind of be connected by this crazy thing called COVID-19. And when the world just kind of shut down and we had to be quarantined, there are a lot of people in this world who never thought they'd have to go through this kind of thing. And we're, so we can see it as a positive thing that someday we'll be in history books. But know that when you come back to school in the fall, my door is always open. And I would love to see your faces. I would love to hear about what you did over the summer. I would love to hear about your adventures and your boredoms. And know that I will be doing a lot of Lego. I bought The Hobbit, and I think just the Lego movie one too. So I might be doing a little bit of that, sitting on my porch doing some reading. Hopefully eventually going to see my family in Texas. I'm hoping that we will get to do that within the next month or two, and we'll see. So stay safe. Have a wonderful summer. Contact me as much as you would like, and I hope that you will come and see me in the fall. Okay? Bye, guys. I love you. Mwah. Have a wonderful summer. Bye.